Welcome to the Global Speaker Advantage, the #1 podcast where your voice goes beyond borders. Hosted by Oliver Nshom, international speaker and coach, this show is for speakers ready to grow influence, land paid gigs, and make a global impact. Tune in every Tuesday and Friday weekly for insights, interviews, and strategies to help you thrive on the world stage. Let's go global.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was kind of I'm using kind of my studio uh, app to do that. Yep. So so I was trying to do some stuff. So by the way, do you have any question, any worry before we proceed?
No, we can proceed on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. All right, I love the fact you talked about content, having a mastery of your content or your materials for the presentation. You talk about strategy, and we're going to be looking about that, as you just mentioned, content and strategy, overviewing, cracking jokes. I love that. Gideon, let me know, what do you think is the most important part of a presentation?
For every form of communication, there has to be the input and the feedback. So you're trying to get an information across. And so if it's a question that you are asking, then you need a response to that question.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that you are teaching, presenting for people to understand, then for it to be successful, it means that people have to understand it. It means it has to be relating to them. So for me, in general, in a presentation, really the most important thing is that it has to be relatable, it has to be understandable.
Mm-hmm.
The presentation is clear enough for people to understand and engage with it.
Got you. Relatable and understandable. Okay, cool. So by that, have you ever had a situation where a speaker is introduced to do a talk in church, in a conference, or wherever, be in a school assembly, and within the first seconds, like first 15 seconds, 25 seconds, 30 seconds, the speaker mess up in what he or she wanted to say, and immediately you disconnected from whatever the person is saying next? Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, and I mean sometimes it's not necessarily about a mistake they made, but maybe maybe the way they are communicating is not effective enough. So it's like you project into the future to say that, if this is what is the whole presentation is going to be, then it might not be like worth your while. So you kind of tune out.
Perfect. Thank you. You got the point. That is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is an eye opener for you, and I want you to take note of this. This is very important and strategy. See, you can do a bad presentation. Somehow people will accept you. You can do an average presentation. Somehow people will tolerate you. You can do a presentation that is manageable. Somehow people will accept that for the first time. But for that to happen, the first 30 seconds, you have to nail it. You must nail it. Because that is when people prepare their minds psychologically. That's when people make up their minds that they're going to listen to you for the rest of the 30 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours or 10 minutes or not. And that is why at times you can be talking to people in church, wherever you are, and you believe that the people are with you. You believe that they're listening to you, but they have all gone psychologically. That's why the first seconds of a speaker's time on stage matters a lot. And that's why you have to prepare so well for the first seconds. And so, Gideon, what are the things that you think speakers can do to make sure that their first at least 30 seconds is so engaging, so compelling that nobody would even take an excuse to go to the bathroom? No person would even want to get up to do something like fidgeting because they want to get what you're giving out within the first 30 seconds. So, what are some of the things that you believe that we have to do as speakers to engage our audience immediately within the first 30 seconds?
Yeah. Thing is, it's a combination of a few things.
Mhm.
I think one is, I think the energy that a speaker comes with.
I love
If
that.
if you come and you are a bit dull, and it will affect the way that people will receive the message.
Gotcha.
And you also have to be direct on what you want to present.
Direct. Yep. Not telling of stories, winding time.
Yeah, like, I mean, even if it's a story, it has to be, a simple story, something that's, it's you don't drag it. But after, the people might be following, but they might have an idea of, where that story is leading to. In
Correct.
the in, by doing that, you connect that story to the topic that you want to talk about. So the directness and the simpleness of the introduction
Mhm.
will also determine how people listen to you. And I think also and this is not the least, but the way the speaker is speaking, you know,
Mhm.
and how expressive the person is.
Okay. Mhm. Cool. I love that. Have you ever thought about incorporating jokes within the first 30 seconds?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it would depend on maybe the audience and the topic that you're talking about. Maybe
Okay.
in
Cool.
some instances, maybe, like, you know, if and like the time and the place, if maybe there's a big conference, and you are like the fifth person to come and present, you come and everyone is just down, they've lost energy, and you want to revive the room. So you could start with something that will get people to direct their attention to you. And it might be a joke also.
I love it. Great. What do you think about how you dress as a speaker?
That's also very important. Yeah.
Mhm. So, do you believe that the way you dress can affect your message positively or negatively?
Yes. Yes, it can. It can. And
Okay.
I mean, like, when you're talking, you come and you're in front of people. They Most of the time they haven't met you before, seen you speak before. So the only thing they are seeing is you, the way you've dressed. So between the time you walk up to the stage, the few seconds that you are trying to talk, the only thing that they can engage is your personality, your physical personality, and
Mhm.
maybe what you are wearing. eh, You know, you could be seen as someone who is responsible or serious within those first few seconds.
I love that. Cool. So on that note, I want us to begin with the introduction, and then we'll go to body, and then conclusion of your speeches right now. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. How to have a compelling introduction, and how to have a very engaging body, and how to have a standing ovation conclusion. Now, there is what we call in public speaking 10x, 10x, 10x. The 10x, 10x, 10x framework, right? So remember, we are still in the 3M framework. So I just want to introduce something briefly to you. 10x, 10x, 10x framework, 10x like in 10.
10x. Okay.
10x, yeah. So it is for the introduction. So 10 seconds, the first 10x is that x there is seconds. 10 seconds, what you say should be a hook. And here is an example of a hook. What I'm about to share with you, if you can practice it, you'll be able to make not less than $10,000 every single week of your life. Guaranteed. Okay, how do you feel that? Does that sound like a hook, something you want to learn more?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's.
You get
It increases your interest in what is about to be said.
excellent. So that is a hook, and that is the first 10x. The second 10x is 10 meters away from your audience. It has to do with how they see you and how they feel you. How they see you and how they feel you. So that has to do with maybe for those who put perfume, the perfume you put as a speaker matters a lot. Yeah. The kind of perfume you put in matters a lot. And the kind of watch you put on matters a lot. The kind of dress you put on matters a lot. The hairstyle you're putting on matters a lot. The shoes you put on matters a lot. And that's why I always tell my clients that, hey, as a speaker, do as much as possible never to put fake accessories. If your watch is not working, if your watch has worn out, don't put it. For those who are married, have rings. If your ring is worn out, don't put it. Right? If your belt is worn out, don't put it. If your shoes are worn out, don't put it. Because that would be fake. And guess what? Some audience members, they are not necessarily loving what you are saying, but they are admiring your hairstyle, your dress, your shoes, your belt, your ring, your watch, your bracelet. They are admiring your phone, probably. They are admiring something in you. And that is what is making them to close their eyes on you and to listen to you throughout your time on the stage. Never forget that. And so, most of the time, they're not admiring your voice and what you're saying. They're admiring your nice suit, your nice style, your nice Apple Watch, your nice whatever. And so that's why it is illegal. Let me speak like an American. It is illegal to come to the stage putting things that are not original. And that's why anytime I want to buy something, I make sure that it is original. Because they are very smart people from the audience at times that they are very, 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 very good in spotting out fake gadgets, fake accessories. And you don't want that to happen to you, Gideon. You know what I mean? Because the moment somebody spot out that your ring is not original, that your watch is fake, what happens is that their perception of you drops, automatically drops. The moment somebody discovered that there is a hole on your dress, there is a stain on your trouser, and the moment you notice that, and people are all looking on that particular spot, it affects your mindset. It affects your self-confidence. It affects your delivery capacity. And that's so important. Do you have any question or worry on that?
What you said is true. I mean, if and people don't when they don't agree with your appearance,
Mm-hmm.
you lose credibility with them.
Perfect. Perfect. And that's why part of the preparation that you have to do anytime you're speaking to people is to find out the dress code that fits the event, that fits the ceremony, that fits the occasion, that fits the conference, that fits the place where you're speaking, so that it will help you to avoid making mistakes in what you have to put on. Very important.
That's true.
Yeah, and all of these things I'm naming them, they have a way they can affect your presentation either positively or negatively. So we said the first X was 10 seconds. So your first 10 seconds will determine the rest of your time on the stage, whether they should listen to you or they will not listen to you. Right? The second 10X was 10 meters away from your audience. Right? That will also affect the perceived value, how they perceive you on the stage. It will affect how they perceive you. And if they perceive you less, they will have a very hard time listening to you. And if they perceive you more, they will glue their eyes to you until you finish whatever you're saying. That's so important. And so we talked about the 10x, 10x, 10x. So let's go to the last 10x. So the last 10x there has to do with 10 times, right? So for instance, there are some words that you speak and you make a little bit like, you know what I mean? We call them filler words or non-words in public speaking. So you have to work so hard to trim them out of your conversation. For instance, if you're speaking in a place and you make a mistake one, be it grammatical mistake or whatever, the second time you make another one, the third time you make another one. So how do you feel that the people will perceive you if you keep on making mistakes? You get. So it means that within your first seconds, you should be able to minimize mistakes as much as possible. Right. You should be able to minimize the filler words, the grammatical words, and the typos and all of that as much as possible while you're on the stage. Because if you bring them, more of them, it's true that as a speaker, people forgive your pronunciation, your tenses, and all of that. To an extent, they will forgive you. But if you continue to do the same mistakes, they will never forgive you. That will be a sign of laziness, of lack of preparation, lack of rehearsal, and they'll feel it. Now, I will explain to you why further. It's because there is a concept in professional speaking. We call that a cliche, right? So what does it talk about? It's like for every 1 minute talk, you must prepare for at least 100 minutes. So what that means is that if you come to speak in a conference for 2 minutes, you have to prepare for 200 minutes. That's almost 3 hours, getting to 4 hours. 1 minute talk must be taken, 100 minutes have to be taken to prepare for the 1 minute. That's so important. Because if you're talking to 30 people for 100 minutes, or if you're talking to 100 people for 30 minutes, if you mess up with the 30 minutes from an audience of 100 people, in the real sense, how many minutes have you messed up with, Gideon?
30 times 100.
Excellent. 3,000. You get it. You mess up 3,000 minutes, bro, from the lives of 100 people. And time is one of the only greatest assets that we have as human beings. And your time is equal to your life. So if you waste your time, you waste your life. And imagine you wasting 3,000 minutes of people's time. Man, that is a crime, and you deserve to be in prison, at least 10 years in jail. Right. Do you see the magnitude and the gravity and the ramification of lack of preparation? What lack of preparation can cause a speaker? Yeah, that is so important for you to take note of that. Means that we have to do everything to prepare for our speeches, for our presentations, because when we prepare, what we're automatically doing is that we are wasting people's time that will be listening to us. And what that means is that in every 1 minute talk, you should be able to deliver value, because we are looking at the value of your speech. And what is it? The value of your speech is equal to impact per time delivered. It means that if you want to know the value or the impact of your speech within 5 minutes, right, you're looking at what have you said within 5 minutes in every 1 minute that people cannot twin their eyes away from you. And guess what? The value or the impact of a speech is actually always measured per minute. It's always measured per minute. It means that if you do a presentation where people have to clap for you, where people have to nod their head and say, you nailed it, Gideon, you nailed it, you kill it. It means that in every 30 seconds of you speaking, even for 30 minutes, there should be so much value that you're giving or dishing out to your audience, to the extent that every minute counts. So the question is, how do you do that? How do you ensure that every minute counts? My brother, it is practically impossible for every minute, that is every 60 seconds, to count on the stage as a speaker when you do not prepare very well. It will not happen. At a certain point, you will fumble, you will dabble, you will stumble on the stage, and you will dabble because you do not take time to prepare very well for the 60 seconds that people are listening to you. And remember, once people have made their judgment that you are boring, you're messing up, you're making us to miss time, they will tune off, and guess what? They can go to your social media platform, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and begin to get entertainment there, because they don't want to trade off their time with your mess. And that's why preparation is so crucial, so primordial. And so always remember that the value of a speech is in impact per minute or impact per 60 seconds. And so in every 60 seconds, you're asking yourself, what am I saying? What am I saying? What am I saying? What am I saying that is touching life, that is transforming lives, that is inspiring people? What am I saying? What am I saying? And if you're talking for 1 hour, every minute of the hour, it should be hitting the point. It should be hitting the point. It should be hitting the point. And that's when you can deliver presentations that are engaging. That's when you can deliver presentations that are compelling. That's when you can deliver presentations that deserve standing ovation. That is the mindset. That's the mindset. Do you have any worry or question there before we dive into the message?
We can continue.
Cool. So with the message is very important. There are two ways you can deliver the message: verbal and non-verbal. So you can deliver the message in a verbal way or non-verbal, or the two of them. You can put the two together, or verbal, or you can better do it non-verbal. Now, the mistake many people do, Gideon, is that when they're speaking to an audience, some people assume that they see well. At a certain point, they assume that they hear well. So, for instance, if I'm speaking to you and my arms are just like this. So it's gonna be an amazing session, and I'm so excited what is happening, that you're hitting your target. That's not making sense. But if I'm like, it's gonna be an amazing session, I am so excited that you're hitting your target. That's the two different things. So when you're speaking and demonstrating with your hands, which is what we call non-verbal communication, and saying it, the comprehension is higher than you folding your arms and speaking with that, demonstrating, shaking your head, nodding your head, doing this and doing this and doing that. Two different things. All right. So when you're speaking to people, be cognizant of the fact that they need to see what you're saying and also hear what you're saying. And most of the time, the mistake people make is that they only speak and people only hear and people don't feel it. And come to think about it, Gideon, what if there was somebody in the audience that was having physical impairment and the person can only hear, and then your pronunciation, the way you were articulating was not the best, and that hampered the person's inability to get you well? What if you are speaking in a room where there are people who could not see you and who could not hear you? So if people cannot hear you, it means that they can only see you, right? And if they can only see you, if they are only depending on what you are showing them to understand the message you have for them, and if you don't show them how the fish came out of water and was swimming and diving, or how the aircraft left the airport and was taxiing to the terminals, if you don't show them, how on earth will you expect them to get what you're saying? So communication has to do with both verbal and non-verbal, or what we call kinesthetic. All right, kinetics. So what it means is that anytime you're speaking to people, always demonstrate with your hands, with your eyes, and with your entire body what you're saying. That is part of your message going out there. That's so important. So it was a big birthday cake that they prepared for me, right? So you cannot say like it was a big birthday cake. It was a big birthday cake. It was a big birthday cake. You see, it's all going. Now, number one, my facial expression saying it was a big birthday cake is not interpreting the message of the birthday, which is joy and happiness and excitement. So if I'm saying birthday, which was my birthday, whoever birthday, friend and sibling, I should be smiling. I should be like, birthday. You get the point? So I should say it was a, I should not say it was a big birthday cake. Big birthday cake. No, I should say it was a big birthday cake. You see the difference?
Yeah.
So you can see how big the birthday cake was. The person watching at me who cannot hear what I'm saying is seeing the big birthday cake and is feeling that it's something that was good, that was nice. That's why I'm smiling. So when you're speaking, how your face looks like is so important to your message. So I cannot ask you, how are you, Gideon? And you're like, I'm fine. You get what I mean? It doesn't work like that. All right. So you can say something like, the worst day of my life. It doesn't go like this. The worst day of my life. The most exciting day of my life. The most exciting day of my life. It doesn't go like that. You say, the most exciting day of my life. Take note of this. This is what we call body language. So when it comes to message, let me start with body language. Body language is divided into three parts. Number one, facial expression. Number two, eye contact. Number three, hand movements and body movements. For instance, it will be very challenging for someone to be talking to you and you're not seeing the person's eyes and you understand clearly what the person is saying. That's eye contact. So when you communicate and people don't see your eye, it becomes a little bit very challenging, and most of the time they don't believe what you're saying when they don't see your eyes. That's important. When you communicate and people don't see your face, the different emotions that you're demonstrating, that becomes a problem. And lastly, when you communicate and people don't see how you demonstrate, you gesticulate what you're saying, it becomes a problem. I understand that because of medical conditioning, some people might not be able to demonstrate proper eye contact and proper hand movements and proper facial expression. That is understandable. But I'm saying that if you don't have any medical conditioning, you have to open your eyes, let the audience see you. You have to look at one audience at a time, look at, like Pastor Leader used to look in church, one person at a time, one person at a time, one person at a time. For 1 minute, for 2 minutes, for 30 seconds, you move your eye from different people. Why is it important to look at people eyeball to eyeball when you're talking? Because when you do that, they connect to your message, they connect to you. People feel important when the speaker is looking at them. They feel like they're having a dialogue, they're having a conversation with the speaker. And that is more like a privilege and honor. So when you do more of that, you connect harder and your message pass across. So eye contact, facial expression, hand stroke body movement, very important to your message delivery. So important. And watch out. If you don't demonstrate these three things when you're talking to people, most of the time you'll be talking and people are sleeping. Yeah. And maybe you've seen a situation where you're talking and people are sleeping. Have you ever experienced that before? I mean, like somebody talking in a conference or in a group and people are sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because the person was too boring, and that's because eye contact, facial expression, and hand gesture were not there. So that's A of message. Let's go to B. How do you deliver your message? Apart from body language, you have to be able to understand this. You have to be able to deliver the message. Now, what's the difference between noise and music, Gideon?
Music has a rhythm.
Cool. Love that.
Has a rhythm, so it's predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, it's soothing to the ears.
Mm-hmm.
But noises is random and annoying.
Thank you. I love the way you define noise and music. You say noise is random and annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying. And this is the point. A lot of people, when they are speaking, people are hearing the noise. You will not believe that. People are hearing noise. But my objective at the end of these sessions we're going to be having is that by the end of the day, you are speaking, people are hearing music. You said music is enjoying, right? It has the rhythm, right? And it's interesting for people to listen to that. And that's my objective. When you speak next time, people should not hear noise, but they should hear music. And what makes people to always love to listen to you is whenever you speak, people hear it's like they're listening to music and not to noise. Just a quick one. Pick any book, a textbook where you are right now. If you have any book, I want you to pick it, grab a book. It could just be a motivational book like this one. And paper, don't waste your life. Just check if you have one. Open to any of the pages. Pick any of the paragraphs.
Okay.
Pick any of the paragraphs and read the paragraph to me.
There is only one way under high heaven to get anybody to do anything. Did you ever stop to think of that? Yes, just one way. And that is by making the other person want to do it.
Are you done with the paragraph?
Yes.
Great. So now, do you feel like the paragraph is not complete? Or you feel like it's complete, the statement is complete?
It's complete.
Excellent. That's how I feel. I feel like the statement is complete. You get it? So speaking is like writing. Every presentation you give, people should feel like it's complete. You should not speak and people feel like you're hanging. The information has not come out. They have not gotten what you've said. Speaking is like writing. Don't never forget this. Everything you communicate on the stage, it should be complete. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Now, if you open that book again to any of the chapters and read any chapters in that book, it will always be complete. You can use the whole of that goodness in that chapter to teach somebody, to explain something to somebody. That is how authors write books. That is even how, that's how I wrote this book. This is one of my books. I've written kind of 15 books. This is one of them. This book is used by universities and high schools all around the world to teach public speaking. Very powerful book. Skyrocket your elocution career, building a profitable and impactful career in public speaking. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that writing, for instance, right? Quick one. Let me read this to you. I just flip up and then. So an important thing to keep in mind is using concrete evidence. This includes things like numbers and real life incidents, facts, photographs, etc. If you don't ground your story in real life, then it might be too abstract for your audience to connect with. While using grandiose language might make you sound impressive, using complex grammar or words plucked from some random page of a thick dictionary is going to make it difficult, if not impossible, for the general public to connect with you. If they cannot understand, it should be noted here that this does not completely cancel the fact that you should not use at least some rare words and expressions sparingly, provided you provide their definitions to aid the comprehension and of the average person listening to you. You see, this is very complete. So what's my point? My point is that speak as an author writing and speak in paragraph. Now, the second thing I wanted to do, open that very chapter. If you have a pen somewhere around you, grab it. Can you grab a pen? Grab a pen. Do you have a pen there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, open the chapter now. Okay, are you ready to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Put the pen in your mouth. Read the chapter now with the pen in your mouth. Read. Are you reading? Read everything, please. Okay. Are you done? Okay, great. Okay, remove the pen. Put down. Go back. Read the same thing you read with the pen in your mouth.
Says following from master. Remember, there is no other way. Of course, you can make someone want to give you his watch by sticking a revolver in his ribs. You can make your employees give you cooperation until your back is turned by threatening to fire them. You can make a child do what you want it to do by a whip or a threat. But these crude methods have sharply undesirable repercussions.
Excellent. So can you tell me the difference between you reading with a pen in your mouth, then you reading before without the pen in your mouth, and you reading now with a pen in your mouth? What you felt?
And it was easier to read it, and also I knew that you you got what I was reading when I didn't have the pen in my mouth.
Cool. So what was it? How did you feel when you read for the first time? I asked you to read, and when you read now after removing the pen in your mouth, what was the difference between the two readings?
I mean,
Did you notice any
I
difference?
think transitioning from when the thing was in our mouth, I mean the 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 lip thing kind of helps with the voice as you transition. So I think the difference is like the voicing out of.
Great, I love that. Great observation. Great. So you feel like you're a better speaker after you remove the pen from your mouth and started reading than before you read without the pen in your mouth. Did you feel like that?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So you feel like you're a better speaker. You feel like you speak better after you remove the pen from your mouth and read without it, unlike when you read the first time without the pen in your mouth. Is that true?
I I think kind of like it's the speaking was a bit smoother than in the beginning.
I love that. So when was the speaking the best? When did you feel yourself that you spoke better? Was it after you put the pen in your mouth or before you put the pen in your mouth?
But after.
Brilliant. So you see, the problem is that many people they speak as though there is a pen in their mouth, right? People don't get them. No clarity, no engagement. So speaking in an engaging and a compelling way is speaking a way that you pronounce your words clearly, you pause, you articulate, and you share in some light humor. That is effective, passionate, compelling speaking. When you speak like you spoke the second time after removing the pen from your mouth. And so anytime you're going to do a talk, when you're preparing and rehearsing for the speech, always grab a pen and put in your mouth. Rehearse together. Do the talk. Do the talk in front of your mirror. Do the talk. Rehearse everything you want to say. Then when you go to speak, remove the pen and then deliver. You always have better results. Even when you're coming to share testimony in church, even when you're coming to preach in church, even when you're coming to talk for 5 minutes in the youth meeting, practice it with a pen in your mouth, and then when you're talking, you will be so amazed with the constant and immediate result that you'll be able to get. And just before we run up with the method, think about body introduction. If possible, you can always share a light, funny story or humorous story. We call it anecdote. A funny story at the start of your talk. That's so powerful because when you share that kind of a story, it helps. Now, one thing you need to understand here, Gideon, is that, for instance, like today, before coming to this class today, you came back from work, you drove from work to the house, you were tired, you have to take a snack or a nap, and then you had to think a lot of things. You know, most of your energy is drained, right? And that's the same thing that happens when you're going to most meetings that you go to. By the time you arrive there, you're tired and all that. So it means that an average human being, when they go to meetings, they are tired, they're exhausted, and they sit like that. They need something that will rejuvenate their entire system. And so, as a speaker, when you start with humor, right? When you start with humor, people will laugh. And when they laugh, they will be relaxed. And when they're relaxed, they will stop laughing. And the next thing is that they will listen to what you're saying. Take note. And what you say, they will learn. That's when they will learn. And when they learn, they practice. When they practice, they get the result. When they get the result, that's when impact really happens. So one of your job is to see how you can crack jokes. See how you can make people to laugh at the start of your presentation. And that is why leaders are very fond of cracking jokes and people are laughing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Excellent. It's because leaders understand this philosophy and this psychology. So as a speaker, when you're starting a talk and you notice that people are tired, people are kind of bored, say something funny that can laugh. For instance, I was speaking last week in Nebraska, training some entrepreneurs, and I was one of the last speakers. So when I came to talk to them, I was the only person in the hall that was putting on a tie. You know, a tie, le cravier, like what in French. So I did the observation. So when I stood up, I began my presentation by saying, have everybody noticed what is happening in this hall? Like, I'm the only guy putting on the tie. Can you permit me to do this presentation with a tie on my neck? And they were like, no, we don't want you to use a tie. And I was like, why? What the heck? In America, like, it's like people don't longer put on ties. What is happening with ties? Can somebody talk to me? What's happening with ties? And they started talking. And some people told me that, well, Oliver, I don't have enough time to put on my tie. One guy told me that he's always having a hard time trying to knot his tie all the time. All the time, he's only pushing the tie. And he's like, I don't need the tie anyway. So that was an observation that I used to create humor when I was starting my presentation, because almost everybody was tired at the time I got up to speak. And I was like, what can I do to bring these guys back? And the only way out I could quickly get myself was to talk about my tie. That was very strategic. And that got all of them alive. And then they had to listen to what I was sharing. So think about your introduction is so important, so powerful, and you never have to mess up with your introduction. And finally, method. So method of delivery. So you can use different methods. We have storytelling is a method. Talk about facts. You can use facts like a scientist as the method, right? So you can constantly use humor or use humor sparingly. Bringing humor where necessary. That is still a method of delivery. So literally, when we talk about the method of delivering, we're talking about the style that really works best for you. Are you using stories to share your message? Are you using statistics and facts to share your message? Are you using data, scientific data like graphs and charts to share your message? So what method are you actually using to deliver? And remember, different methods work best for different occasions and different audiences. You get it? And above all, one of the best methods ever is the storytelling. Storytelling. And that is what we can look about next time. Storytelling, how to tell compelling stories that get people laughing, crying, and wanting you to come back again. So important, storytelling. You know why? Because human beings, they are so attuned to stories. The moment you introduce a story, once upon a time, there lived a young man from Ghana called Gideon Anpa. He was very intelligent in school to the extent that after he got his advanced level, he got the American lottery. Guess what? They never had enough money for him to get a flight ticket and fly to United States. And together with his family, they had a family meeting and they discussed and ideas on how they will raise money. And the uncles started contributing, the aunties contributed. They contributed to the extent that they almost had the money for the flight ticket. You see what I'm doing? People love to hear stories like that. And remember, intentionally, I had to bring in a problem in the story. So if the story is not like once upon a time there was Gideon Ampa from Ghana who won the American lottery and traveled to America. No, no, no. It will not work. People don't love to listen to that story. Tell me why. Why Gideon?
I mean, it's too flat. Yeah, people stories are engaging when you like there are what do you call it? Um,
When they are
like
playing,
yeah, like and people kind of imagine what's coming next, what's coming.
all
Like
right,
they're not sure what's coming yet.
that's it. So that's it. So an next session we definitely do only storytelling techniques and strategies to tell compelling stories. And yeah, so when you're telling stories, that's just an introduction. You present the protagonist, the antagonist, and then the next thing is the pain point. The pain point. So if I have to continue this story, at some point I'm like, I know many of you here, you experience breakthroughs, but you had a problem. Something was stopping you from getting your breakthrough. There was an obstacle some point in your life. And we have all experienced these challenges in life, where you feel like this is what you want, you already got it, but you still have an obstacle that is blocking or stopping you from reaching out to your blessing, to your promised land. And if that is what you're going through today, I have a good news for you. I have good news for you. So I'm going to share exactly what Gideon and the family did for him to successfully fly to the United States. That you can do the same thing to overcome your difficulties and your struggles and your obstacles right now to get to where you're supposed to be. I see what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
When I make this transitional statement, people will not say they will not arrange the seat belt, they put on the seat belt. Okay, tell us, how was he able to succeed from not having flight money, financial crisis, maybe to, I'm just forming this story, by the way. You get a point. So people will only listen to your story when it connects to their own story. You get the point? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And I think like there's one like making the story very relatable. Like it's like that's one of the biggest things. And I've seen that there's one thing that I learned from one of our pastor lecturers and back in college in Ghana. And there was something that he says that it's like especially when you are teaching people, it's usually smooth when you move them from the known to the unknown. It's like you if you are teaching someone about maybe you're teaching someone about um, computers or maybe laptops,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the person has an experience with typewriters,
Mm-hmm.
like you start from those that one, the typewriter, and kind of shift it directly into the laptops that you want to introduce.
Yeah, great one. So at least what talk? Okay, now I wanted to give me a 5 minute to 10 minute talk using the principles that we have applied here, discussed in this session, on how to make as a young man in America, irrespective of your background.
Is it how to leave or how to succeed?
How to succeed in the United States as a young man, irrespective of your background or where you're coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a 5 to 10 minute talk that I want you to deliver to me. Body, introduction, body, and conclusion. Okay, your time starts now.
Oh.
Three, two, 1, 0, action.
All right. Thank you for getting the time to come here and listen to what I have to share and on one of the most important topics amongst us. Now, all over the world, a lot of people would want to be in the position that you are right now. And what position am I talking about? If you go to the embassies around the world, you will see long queues of young people dropping into embassies to go and get their visas to come to the America. And they are coming because of they are coming because of the American dream. The dream that when they set their feet on the soil, they will make it. But can we say that everyone that comes to this country gets to enjoy this dream? And the answer is no. And this is what brings us to the topic for today's discussion. How do you succeed in this country as a young person, regardless of your background? I'll share a few things with you. And at the end of the discussion, I would love that you share your stories and any question that you have so that we can engage. From the experience that I've had in this country, I can say that these are the things that will somehow help you. They may not be the silver bullets that you need, but they will surely take you closer to where you want to go. One, I say that you need to have a plan from day one. And this means knowing the country that you are in and the systems that are in, how to take advantage of them. So when you plan, you are planning on how to navigate the system and what do you need to be successful. When I was coming to this country, I had my bachelor's degree and I came in here to get my master's. But I didn't just come in here just for that. I had thought beyond the master's. After master's, what next? I had a roadmap that after master's, I'm going to write my professional exams. I'm going to try and get internships. And that internship hopefully will lead me to a job. So I had one plan, I had one roadmap. And that is what dictated every move and every decision that I made. There are lots of people, young people that come into this country who have no idea what they want to do. And because of the lack of planning, they end up staying in the US for a long time without progressing. They become frustrated just going through life, earning a few pennies that barely keep them alive. So, how, after planning, what else do we need to do? We need to act from day one. As I say, opportunities wait for no man. You need to take it by the horn of the bull. You know, your own might not be going to school, but it might be you building skills and areas that will help you succeed. Whether it is apprenticeship or professional skills that you want to build, you need to put them into action. And you need to make sure that you are progressing. Lastly, I'll talk about connections. It is easy in a country like the US that you come and you don't talk to people because this is a very individualized society that you could be in an apartment of about 50 rooms and you barely talk to anyone in the apartment for a year. So making connections takes a lot. And it takes intentionality. But it is very important that you build connections in this country. In that connections leads to people that have opportunities that you need. Connections might lead to people that you just go out and play games with, people that might help you in times of mental downness, that helps you keeps you sane in this country. And these connections may become a very part of our lives as we navigate this new world. In conclusion, I want to say that a lot of us come from varying backgrounds, some very noble, some very esteemed. But it is very possible for us to succeed in this country if we are intentional, if we plan, if we build our skills enough, we are surely going to succeed. Thank you for your time.
Great job, great job. Awesome. I love that. So a quick observation from your presentation. So a couple of things to be taken into consideration. I was focusing now on your introduction.
Yeah.
I do not have to focus a lot on your body conclusion, but wish you actually did a great job on those areas. Um, so there are a couple of things to take. For instance, when you start a talk, there's what we call acclamation.
Right.
Acclamation. Number one, that's the first thing you just have to take note of that. So they said, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to not any other person but the one and only Gideon and Pa. Everybody's clapping, and then you walk to the stage. Now, immediately you walk to the stage, the next thing people expect you to do is to grab the mic and start talking.
Right.
And so the worst mistake now you can make as a speaker is to actually just grab the mic and start talking. So, yes, that's the worst mistake you can ever do. So what you do is that once you walk to the stage, always give yourself at least 5 seconds. I mean that kind of thing that you hold the mic, look at the audience for at least 5 seconds, and then begin to talk. Now, when you begin to talk, don't start by saying, greetings, everybody, good morning, everybody, good afternoon, everybody. No, you could start something like by saying, 3 years ago, I was an undergraduate student in the Federal University of Accra, Ghana. I was at the verge of having my undergraduate degree, and I applied for my master's, and I was accepted to study at the X University in California, in Minnesota. And that was like great news to myself, to my siblings, and to every other person in my family. My parents were excited, my siblings were excited, myself, I was excited. What did I do? I wrapped up with my undergraduate and graduated and applied for things to the United States. And you see what I'm doing, right?
Yep.
You see what I'm doing? That's so strategic and powerful. So people expected you to be like, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thank you for the word. No, you started with a story. And that makes you so compelling that people cannot resist you at that point. And remember, you already gone past the 10 seconds margin we talked about. At that point, everybody automatically think that you're very smart. At that point, they will love to listen to you. Yeah. They will love to learn from you. They will love to listen to you. Take note. So after the 5 seconds of acceleration, the next thing you should do is to get into your anecdote. Now, When you finish with that introduction, right, about what you're talking about, and then you can now you can bring in gratitude, right? Like special thanks to Gideon Ampa, the organizer of this event, for having me as one of the speakers. In my presentation, you're going to learn what it takes as a young man to succeed in America as a foreigner. Even when you're still just your first week in the United States, or your first month in the United States, or you're under your first year in the United States, how you can make it so big within the shortest time possible. Now, that is called WIFM. That's how we call it in professional WIFM. It stands for what is in it for me. Because people never listen to you if they don't know what is in it for them. By genetic inclination, all human beings are egocentric. It means that if you don't know what you gain, you're not going for it. So it's important that after you finish with your short story, you give gratitude, a word of gratitude. After an acclamation, short story, gratitude, you go to WIFM. What is in it for me? And I love you did that, because like in this presentation, you're going to learn how to. You did that. Great job. I don't know if you knew what you're doing, but you did a great job on that. And you have to bring in quote. There's a quote you use, but you did not. I felt like you're not intentional when you said it. There is a quote you did it in a very flat way. You said like they always say. You said something like that. They always say, you know. That was kind of a quote, but you did not intensify that. You could say something like, someone I respect so much once said. Or you could say something like, Nelson Mandela once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the Nelson Mandela once said, education is the greatest weapon with which you and I can use to change the world. Or you can say something like, Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of Franklin Roosevelt, once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. You get the point?
Yeah.
The quote is coming out clearly. It's coming out clearly. And people respect you when you do that. When you quote. So that is it for introduction. If you do these things, and you have to do that as we wrap up, just these things, and then the next time we'll focus on the body and conclusion with the storytelling. So just briefly, you don't have to say everything. You just go that silence of acclamation, and then you dive in with your story. And then along that introduction, you could bring in a quote, and then from then you do gratitude, and then what is in it for me, and then you can end there.
Okay, you want me to do it again?
Yeah, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Go for it then. Okay. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, 0, action. Breathing. Breathe out. Breathing. Breathe out. Breathing. Breathe out. Breathing. Breathe out. Okay. 3, 2, 1, 0, action.
In a number of cities across the world, a lot of youths are gathered and they're gathered to for something that is going to change their lives. And I'm sure you can relate because you've been in their shoes. In the embassies, United States embassies across the world, a lot of youths are gathered in pursuit of their visas to come into this country. And they have a dream to make it. They have a dream to change the fortunes of their own lives and the lives of their family. And they are looking at you and some of you seated here. And as you have already seated and this entered into this country and have a feel of what this country can offer, what can you say to these people? Is it possible for them to achieve this dream? Or are they just daydreaming? In today's presentation, I want to engage you on something very important. I believe that we share similar goals on this particular pursuit. I want to talk to you about how you can make the most of what this country offers, regardless of your background.
Okay, great job. Great job, man. Great job. You nailed it. Great job. There's something that you have that I wanted to let you know that's a strength, that's a plus to you. You need I wrote here pause. When you want to say something powerful, you promise, you announce, and then you pause, and then you say it. But you do that naturally. It just comes naturally to you because you're not a fast speaker. You speak slowly, and because of that, you pause a lot in the course, and that makes it very
Right.
and very interesting, especially when you're saying something so powerful. People love to listen to you any. So take it that strength, work on it. It's a strength, it's not a weakness. So kudos, work harder on it, and make sure that you make your presentations more powerful with that. I think you nailed it. That was a brilliant introduction. And we end here for today. If you have a question, you can ask. Have a worry, you can express. If not, we're only looking forward to our next session.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
you hear from me soon.
Awesome, bro. Cool. So, do you have any question, any worry?
No, I think that's a good exercise.
Cool. So, do you feel like you made your target for today?
Well, I had no expectations because I didn't know how the structure of today's conversation will go. So yeah, but I looking at it, I think it's been good. It's been great actually.
Nice. Yep. Cool. Yeah. My expectations, my personal expectation for the show for the call has been met. I expected you to be able to master even the introduction of a presentation, and I'm happy you just did that, and I'm happy. That's why I can let you go for today.
All right. Well, thank you.
Welcome, bro.